have a whole lot of faith that this is going to work, but I'm going to try scuffing these up with some 600 grit sandpaper. I'm not really worried about trying to get the blued off. I'm just wanting to make some places for friction, something to happen there, because it's all smooth and all of the rough material on them has just been wiped off. So just a Hail Mary attempt to stave off buying another clutch pack right meow. Got sandpaper down on a flat surface. We got our friction on it, and what I'm going to do is just rock back and forth while spinning so that I have lines that are perpendicular to the circumference, right? Because these things, you know, they spin and they got to catch that friction in this direction. So you don't want line striations going all the way around it. You just want line separations, like segments, so that your friction points have something to grab onto. That's what I'm thinking. This might work, it might not. I'm just giving it a try here. But I'll just see if I can gently, and I'm not going to go too deep. I'm just trying to lightly scuff up that surface a little bit. It's going to be a lot easier with two hands, but you get the idea. Yeah, much easier with two hands. Alright, went through and scuffed up my frictions, or steels, I'm sorry, on the clutch pack, and then sucked out the gas out of the top of the crankcase and put the fresh oil back in it and fired it up, and it sounds nice and no problems, no ticky-tappy, didn't get too damn loose. And also went ahead and mounted a camera to right there just to see. Did I start recording already? Yes, I did. Okay. And that one is recording. And see, I took the windshield off. Oh, dang it. Other light came unplugged. I don't see why that would have mattered, because they're tethered together up there. Alright, well, let's go see what happens. I have to go grab a little bit of fuel. We got a couple little errands to run. Run over to the power company. I seem to have lost a little bit of throw from my clutch, and I have to go absolutely all the way to the bar with it to find the release point. And I think I've actually blown a seal down at the slave when I had it apart and I had the cover off on the right side there. Just being dumb, not thinking. I went up and reached and grabbed the damn clutch and pulled it in. While there was nothing on it. No tension or nothing on the clutch, so.
I did pull the bars back another 3/4 of an inch or so, and they do feel even better than they did when I pulled them back the first time. And I'm not sure if it's just the bars that I pulled back or a combination of pulling the bars back and taking the windshield off, but it's just that much more controllable and nimble now. Good deal, not bottom out the forks. Didn't want to come out of gear. Yeah. And we're filling, and we're filling. I'm not filling it all the way up. I'm just putting like $5 in it, so that I don't lose a whole damn tank full of gas once I get back home and it leaks out into the fucking crankcase again. Which is fine, because this will probably be the last ride until I put fresh rubber on it anyway, because it is time. Clip. There we go. Turn the blinky lights on. Good God. All right. Yeah, clutch steel's scuffing procedure seems to have been successful. It didn't even think about letting go. It just grabbed and went. Oh. Come on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with my clutch throw. Because I bled it, and I bled it, and I bled it, and I bled it, and I couldn't get it to stiffen up anymore. Fifth gear's holding. More than it was before already. Yep, definitely need new rubber. Sort of fell in the front slip right there. Gobble, 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 gobble. Look at that turkey flying. Ooh, look at that turkey flying. Run, turkey, run. Funny as that road is actually called Turkey Trot. Man, now I can't remember. Did I switch? I think I switched my resolution on this camera to 720 and 60 frames per second, seeing if I can maybe get a little bit clearer video. Because without a whole bunch of light, man, that 1080 at 30, it just comes out all grainy and pixelated on this camera. Just other priorities, you know, than upgrading camera equipment. This is, I mean, not even at 200 subs yet. I gotta have 1,000 before this will even think about starting to make a little bit of money. Not that that's the reason for it, but it would be nice, you know. So I mean, I can't really justify spending extra on camera and video stuff right now. Got a little hiccup right there off throttle, just going on throttle. Oh wait, nope, wrong one. I gotta go farther up. Out of there. What is up with that? So fortunately, I got my clutch situation sorted out, and I haven't whacked on it real hard yet, but I'm imagining how it's acting so far since I scuffed up those steels, that even when I'm really getting on it in third, fourth, up on the mountain, it's going to hold. 'Cause it was slipping already before. But I think there is complete carb rebuilds in my near future, and a clutch slave cylinder just go ahead and do both, the clutch and the master, while I'm at it. Knock them both out, be done with it. This thing's been here a little while. God damn. Woo! That is a nutty amount of go. Holy crap. cabin. Yeehaw! It's got more fucking power than I had room to keep it in the line back there. Nutty!
Alright, so how about them apples, huh? It cost exactly $0, and I was able to sort out my clutch slipping issue. It's going to cost me a few dollars to sort out my clutch issue, or I'm sorry, carburetor issue, if I could freaking talk, because I'm going to have to order carb rebuild kits with all the seals, and I probably should just go ahead and give it fresh jets, because from what I've read and seen on all the YouTube videos on these machines, they're supposed to be beyond capable just on power alone to just lift that front wheel like it's effortless. And this one, I mean, I was giving it a lot in first and second coming off when I pulled onto Track Rock Gap, and then a couple other times I was just seeing if I could lift the front end a little bit, and it had freaking go, but it wasn't enough to pull it up. So I'm wondering if I just need to play with popping it up before I can get it to do that, or if it really is lacking a little bit of power. And if it is lacking a little bit of power, Jesus. I have the air fuel mixture screws at 2 1/4 turns out. It is just where I set everything static when I bench synced the butterflies. And I have it completely off of idle. It's just on tension alone, where the butterflies sit natural, and I'm not even making contact with the idle screw. And it's running like 1500 RPM, and that's where it floats down to even after warm. So I need to do a little bit of tuning there, and figure out why it's hanging up and doesn't want to close back down. There is one butterfly that I can't seem to get closed any tighter, and it was a little off from the rest of them, from the other three. I don't remember if it was the far left one or far right one, depending on what direction I was looking at it when I was adjusting them. So I probably just need to pull the whole assembly apart, clean everything, and then go through and readjust everything from scratch so that I know they're balanced. Because obviously we hear something, you know, one or two carburetors are cutting out, coming off idle from you know, a stop, or just real low RPM cruising in gear and then go back and get on, and it'll hiccup and buck. And that can be kind of dangerous if it's hiccuping and bucking, then all of a sudden decides to, you know, your diaphragms pop wide open. That's could be a loop situation potentially, or skid you out and low side. There's all kinds of potentials there for badness to happen. Oh, I broke my coffee. I gotta go refill it. So anyway, yeah, so if you're having some issues with a slippy clutch and you don't have too many miles on your bike and you haven't been really hard on the clutch to cause it to overheat and you know, cause any of those steels to warp, you know, if you have warped plates or if they're burnt and you're beyond blue and you're into rainbow colors, they're done. You're gonna have to replace them. But if you've just got some oil residue that's kind of burned onto them, and you can just use some like 600 grit. You don't want to use anything more coarse than a 600 grit sandpaper, in my opinion. But if you can just lightly sand on it, and you want to go, here's your ring, you want to go that way with it. Kind of like, you know, the old school ways when you would do a CD. You don't want to go around, you want to go out in straight lines. And just kind of buff a little bit of that blackness off of there till you see, you know, just barely start to see those scratch lines all the way around the ring on both sides. And be sure that you keep your stack in order and in the right direction. So when you take a piece off, pull it off, and then flip it over and put it down. So when you're done with that steel, you make sure that the rounded teeth edges are facing up and out when you put the stack back in. You got it. So the flat side, and you'll feel it when you're feeling these discs. There's one side that's going to be really flat, and you've got some sharp edges on those little teeth grooves where they go onto the basket. And the other side, you'll feel them, they're kind of rounded. Make sure that rounded side, and they're all stacked the same direction, is pointed out when you put the stack back in. And they need to go back in the same order that they came out. So the friction that is there needs to go back there when you put it back in. And the friction that's on the outside, it's a little bit thinner, needs to be on the outside when you put it all back together. It has to go back in the exact order that it came apart in. So one at a time, you take the friction, flip it over, pull your steel, sand it, make sure that it's faced the right way. Clean it off before you put it on the friction. And then pull your next friction and put it on top of that steel. Take the next steel, then continue that sequence till you're done. And then they're all stacked in the right order in the right direction. And now that the thing is upside down, the one that's on top is going into the motor, right? So that's the one that's facing the motor. And the one that's on the very bottom of the stack is the one that's going to be facing out. It's very important. If you do this, make sure that's done the right way. But potentially that's a way to save you some scratch and just ordering a new set. You might not need it. This bike, I'm pretty sure what caused this was it was just sitting for at least 6 years was the last time that it was registered. And it just sat long enough for that oil to turn to varnish, from oil and gas that was probably in there at the same time, turned to varnish and varnished on the plates. And that turned to gook and muck, and it glazed, you know, as I started playing with it. And once it glazes, it can get real bad real quick. So you don't want to push it. If your clutch is slipping, you need to do something about it before it's just gone. So once you get to a certain point and those plates start to get too much heat in them, they're done. You got to replace them. So get at it early. You start slipping, pull it apart, and take a look. It doesn't cost anything unless you have to replace the gasket on that side cover. And then hey, if it works, cool. If not, sorry, it was worth a try. At least it's free. Um, but there you go. For me, in this instance, it works perfect. It's like I have a brand new clutch. That motor was again reported to have like 18,000 miles on it, and replaced the motor that was originally in that frame. And with this and the way it's acting now, I have no reason to doubt that. It's acting like a young, a motor that's that young. Anyway, so I'm very pleased with how it's cooperating. If I can get the carb situated, we'll be in good shape. I think part of that, I'm probably going to have to get another set of throttle cables, because both of those, I don't know, about an inch down from the ferrule that, the end of the threaded ferrule on both of them is a little bit of, starting to fray. And depending on where you are on the throttle, that fray is going to be in one of the tubes, and it's causing some hang up. And I hear something scratching, like as I'm working the throttle down right in there in the throttle cam assembly area. I hear something that's kind of like a little piece of wire scratching up against something or something like that. And if I'm all the way on and I let go, I would prefer it to snap back a little faster and freer than it does. It's just, I don't like any kind of hesitation or friction in there, and it's got a little, so I need to address that. And I think a new fresh set of cables will accomplish that. Plus carb rebuild kit, master and slave for the clutch rebuild kit, and all the mechanicals will be sorted out on this bike at that point. And then I can focus on actually fine-tuning the carburetors and not having to worry about it flooding, because it's a two-part problem. The petcock is one issue, but it should not be flooding out if the floats and the seals are doing their job correctly. So even if that's free flowing and going down into the carburetors, the float needle and seat should be sealing so that the gravity fed pressure doesn't allow that fuel to just keep flowing into the carburetors. So I've got both problems going on. So I need to address for sure the carburetor problem first, because we've definitely got some running issues that are associated with that. And then obviously the petcock issue, and I'll probably just go with a manual, or rip that one apart and see if it is built to specifications that will allow me to modify it to turn it into a manual shutoff. And then I'll do that. If I need to put some beefier O-rings in there, or some different material O-rings, I can get a hold of some nice blue fluorosilicone O-rings that will hold up to that ethanol crap. And that's a big problem with a bunch of seals in your carburetors is these days, that black Bunna N, Bunna A rubber does not agree with the ethanol, and it degrades very, very quickly. It's one of the issues anyway. So I'll have to address that, and then we can again focus on the finer tuning issues of the carburetor and carburetors, as there's 4 of them, and unlock the hidden potential that still remains in that motor. But thank you for watching. I'm hopeful that this is able to help somebody, and if it does, I'm glad. If it did, hey, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Share this with anybody that has a Bandit that might be having some issues that you've heard of with their clutch, and potentially this might save them a little bit of coin and some headache and frustration. And thanks for watching.